in this day and age, we really have to feel so lucky where we're born, especially if you're born in a country that's maybe, first world country. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people on earth that aren't so lucky, and sometimes they have to live in poverty, and they have to live in war torn countries. They have to live in countries that are currently in war. Especially nowadays, there's so many wars going on. I mean, there's always been wars going on. It's just now it's very publicized. I take a lot of Ubers, and so I get to talk to a lot of Uber drivers. I talked to an Uber driver that came from Ukraine. Unfortunately, he had to move to Canada because the area in Kiev, he was very close to a site where they were literally fighting and bombing, and up to a certain point they had 29 people in his house, which is crazy. I hear stuff like that, and you can't help but feel blessed because, living in Canada especially, you don't have to deal with that stuff yet. And, for sure, there's still poverty going on, and the rent is really high here, like it is in the U.S., like it is in other, richer countries. But still, you're not gonna get bombed. You're not gonna, there doesn't seem like there's issues like that. I mean, I was talking to another Uber driver. He comes from Burkina Faso, and I mean, that's another country where there's a lot of rebel groups, and there's a lot of fighting inside. There's a lot of abductions, and now we see it recently with Israel and Gaza, which has been going on for a long time. But I guess recently now, the fact that Hamas, they decided to go on an attack after 50 years to the day of the last fight. You don't get to decide where you're born, and if you're in a country where you get some of the best services and you get a chance to make something of yourself. I'm not saying get crazy rich or something, but at least feel like you have a chance to have a semi-decent life and not have to feel the threat of a lot of things. You don't have to think about war. You don't have to think about poverty. I mean, now more and more people are starting to think about poverty because more and more people are not able to live. And so if you're I guess in that social bracket where you're good, then I think you owe it to yourself to push through, and anything that you really aspire to do, you really should go out there, because we all know, if anyone would have the same opportunities as you, they probably take it, especially if they come from a poor country. I've known a lot of people from war-torn countries, and a lot of them were some of the hardest working people because they've seen the other side of the coin, and a lot of these people were given a second chance at life, and I'm making a life for themselves and their families, and so they don't really take it for granted. I mean, sometimes people who live in very nice countries, sometimes they take it for granted that you're very, very blessed to be living in a prosperous country, even though there's there's every country has its own quirks, its own problems, its own greed, political greed. At the end of the day, if you have the chance to make something of yourself, definitely go out there and get it done. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to all the people who never got the chance to do that. That's something I think about every day.